Okay. Hi, everyone. Good morning. On behalf of the entire staff at the Office of International Programs here at the Ministry of Education of Spain, we would like to welcome you to the 2025 orientation session for the ministry cohort of the Language Assistance Program in Spain. So please make sure that you belong to the ministry cohort. Okay, so the first thing we're going to take a look at today is the agenda. Okay, I'm going to share that with you because we made a couple of changes, and I just want to make sure that you have an idea of the timing and exactly what we're going to be sharing with you today. All right, so after this introduction, we're going to show you a video with the representatives of different embassies. I don't know if you're aware that 30 countries are involved in the program, and we're going to have some welcoming remarks from the representatives of some of the embassies involved in the program. Okay, and then after that, Ms. Amaya Calinares, who is the Deputy Director General of the Office of International Programs here at the Ministry, is also going to share some opening remarks with you. After that, we'll get into some onboarding information. So that's very important things. Also, your tasks as a language assistant, what's expected of you in your position. Then we'll have a short break of about 20 minutes. And then afterwards, we're going to have some current and former language assistants sharing their experience with you. This is usually the highlight of the orientation session. And then we'll open up after they talk to us a little bit about their experiences. Then they'll take some questions from you. And then at the end, last but not least, and this is for American citizens, Ms. Jane Stray from the U.S. Embassy is going to talk to you about safety and well-being while in Spain. And she'll also take some questions, okay? So that's super important that you listen to Ms. Stray on that. All right. I want to let you know that we're going to be doing some presentations, and we're going to be sharing those presentations with you. We're recording this, but it's going to be a really long session, maybe 2, 3, 4 hours. So depending on the length, we may share that the recording or not, but we'll definitely share the presentations. Okay. We'll email you with that information, so you don't have to worry about that. All right, so next we're going to share the video that the embassy representatives have shared with us. Now, I said there were 30 people. It's not going to be 30 embassy representatives who are going to be talking to you. It's going to be directed to the people here today at this webinar. So we have representatives from the Embassy of Ireland, of Canada, the UK, the US, and Australia. Okay, so video, please.
My name is Brian Glynn. I'm the new Ambassador of Ireland to Spain, and I'd like to extend a hearty welcome to all of the new language assistants who are arriving in Spain. Bienvenidos a España. As you know, Ireland and Spain have a very close and shared history. I trust that you'll show your Spanish students, colleagues and friends the same warmth and friendliness that we all experience living day to day here in Spain. The program is a wonderful opportunity for you to get to know your Spanish students and to get to know Spain and Spanish culture, but of course also to teach them about the richness of Irish culture, how we celebrate holidays, the origins of Irish expressions, and most importantly, foster their interest and passion for learning. Do remember, please, that we at the Embassy are here to help you if you need any assistance or any general information, and we hope to see you at some of the events that we organise at the Embassy from time to time. But most of all, I wish you the very best of luck in Spain. Thank you.
Hello and welcome from the Embassy of Canada here in Madrid, Spain. My name is Chris Berzins. I'm the political counselor here at the Embassy. Bienvenue en Espagne, bienvenido en España. This is a fantastic program that you're about to embark on, an important one. Thank you very much to the Ministry of Education of Spain for continuing to run this program. It really is about the people-to-people ties between Canada and Spain that really are a very important part of our diplomacy. So you are all diplomats. It's at a point in your life I believe that should be an important one for you. I'm jealous. I wish I was doing something similar. Listen, we are here for you at the embassy if you ever need anything. N'hésite pas à nous contacter if you want to come pay us a visit at the embassy and have some Canadian cookies and some Tim Hortons or something. But listen, you'll make the most of this year, and I wish you the very best. Once again, bienvenue, merci beaucoup. Muchas gracias.
Hello and welcome. I'm delighted to greet you all today as you begin your journey as conversation assistants here in Spain. This is such a special opportunity, not only to support language learning in classrooms, but also for you to immerse yourselves in the wonderful Spanish culture, build lasting connections and grow both professionally and personally. And your presence here will make a real difference. I'm sure your energy, curiosity, and unique perspectives of the UK will enrich the learning experience for students and teachers alike. I know from some of our past participants just how rewarding this experience can be, and I'm confident you'll find it just as fun and inspiring. So on behalf of the British Embassy, I'd like to thank you for representing the UK in such a meaningful way. I'm sure you'll have a fun and fantastic year ahead. Muchísima suerte y que disfrutáis muchísimo de esta experiencia.
Hello, I'm Catherine Muller, the Cultural Affairs Officer at the U.S. Embassy in Madrid. And on behalf of the U.S. Embassy, I want to extend a warm welcome to you all. You've just embarked on what we hope will be one of the most meaningful and memorable chapters of your life. As an English teaching assistant, you are part of something incredibly important. Your presence in schools across Spain not only helps students learn English, it helps them see the world through new eyes. We know it takes courage and curiosity to step into a new country and community. Your decision to be here reflects a deep commitment to service and to building mutual understanding. This moment is especially exciting because 2026 will mark the 250th anniversary of the founding of the United States, a moment we're calling America 250. The coming year will be an opportunity to reflect on our history and the partnerships that have shaped it. And did you know? Spain played a key role in our independence, offering critical military and financial support during the Revolutionary War. It's a powerful reminder of the deep and enduring ties between our two countries. As we prepare to commemorate this milestone, your role here takes on an even greater significance. You are helping write the next chapter in our shared story. Thank you for being here, and welcome to what we hope will be a truly transformative year.
Hi everyone, my name's Peter and I'm the Deputy Ambassador here at the Australian Embassy in Madrid. On behalf of the Embassy, I'd like to say a warm welcome to all of you, but particularly to those Aussies in the crowd. It's always great to see Australians make the long journey from Australia to Spain to experience this wonderful country, and of course to share a bit of our culture as well. And you're actually part of a growing trend. Every year we're seeing more and more Aussies make the journey to Spain, of course as tourists, but also to live and to work. And the trend works in the other direction too. We're increasingly seeing Spaniards choose Australia as their preferred destination, particularly for international students. In fact, out of all European countries, Spain sends the most students to Australia, particularly to learn English. So even though we're far away, I often hear stories about how well Spaniards and Australians work together, how our cultures are actually quite compatible, and I hope you have the same experience when you're here. But really, the work you're doing really helps to build those important people-to-people links that underpin our broader bilateral relationship. So of course, here at the Embassy, we're proud to support this. So good luck to all of you, and I hope that you make the most out of this very unique experience.
Hey, so we'd like to thank the embassies for sharing those welcoming remarks with us. Next up is Amaya Calinares. Amaya, are you there?
Yes,
No?
I'm here. I'm
Oh,
here, Lisa.
wonderful. Okay.
Go
Amaya,
ahead.
I'd like to introduce Amaya Calinares. She's the Deputy Director General of the Office of International Programs here at the Embassy, at the Ministry of Spain. So Amaya, whenever you're ready.
Gracias. Thank you, Lisa. So, buenos días. Good morning, everyone. As a representative of the Ministry of Education, Vocational Training and Sports, I want to send all of you our warmest welcome to Spain, to the language assistants from Germany, Australia, Austria, Belgium, Brazil, Canada, China, the United States, France, Ireland, Italy, Morocco, Portugal, the United Kingdom, Switzerland, and Tunisia, who today begin their participation in the Language Assistance Program in Spanish educational institutions. We are confident that this will be an exciting and unforgettable experience for you. Let me also thank the representatives of the embassies and international organizations from the participating countries, as well as those from the ministry itself, who will now be your direct points of contact, along with the educational representatives in the autonomous communities where you will be assigned. We are especially proud to have representatives from several of the participating countries here today in reciprocity with the reverse programs, that is the Spanish language assistance program abroad, which has a long-standing tradition within our ministry. The foreign language assistance program in Spain, which had 450 participants in the year 2000, has grown to over 7,000 participants in the 25-26 academic year, coming from 32 different countries. In this process, I would like to highlight the collaboration of the autonomous communities, which has become essential to the program, as they contribute both financially and through personalized support for the assistants assigned to their schools. This close collaboration will allow you to join your schools as smoothly as possible with an adaptation period and to carry out meaningful work throughout the year, making the most of this experience both personally and professionally. You will be part of an international program that is crucial to our development because it brings us closer together and helps us understand, collaborate, and learn from one to another. Foreign language education has become increasingly more important in the Spanish educational system. Improving the quality of education is one of the ministry's goals, and enhancing our students' foreign language skills is a top priority. That's why we are dedicating more effort to opening ourselves to other ways of understanding other languages, other cultures, and other perspectives, ultimately to new ways of teaching and learning. As language assistants, you will collaborate in primary, secondary, or language schools, where the goal will be to help students improve their communicative skills in your language. It's important to know that in many cases, you will be in schools where your language is not only used as the target language, but also as a medium for teaching subjects such as history, mathematics, science, or PE. Your role in the school is very important. It's going to be very important. You will become cultural and linguistic role models. You will be ambassadors of your country in your schools and in the communities where you live, as the representatives of the embassy said. You carry a great responsibility, and for this reason, our ministry and the autonomous countries are making increasing efforts to dedicate more resources to this program, which allows us to increase the number of participating assistants in various languages year after year. We also have an important responsibility, as another key objective of this program is to promote the Spanish language and culture. Getting to know our country better, our languages, I would say, because we have several languages, as you know, our culture is one of the reasons you are here. How you feel and how we make you feel will be fundamental to achieving that goal, because we are aware that one day you may also become ambassadors of Spain in your own countries. We count on your enthusiasm and dedication to support the students and teachers in our school. We wish you all the best for this experience. Congratulations on making this far, and thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Amaya. All right, everybody. So now, after all these welcoming remarks, we're going to begin with the information. First up is the onboarding information, which is going to give you some information about the things that you're going to have to do. All right, so Feli, whenever you're ready, you can begin.
Good morning. Are you seeing my presentation? Yes. Good morning. My name is Felicidad, and I will be guiding you through this part of the orientation session for the Language Assistance Program. Today we are going to talk about the most important administrative steps that you will need to take in order to get settled in Spain. First, I'm going to show you your main source of information. You are going to have this PowerPoint presentation, and if you click on this link, here you have your official web page where you are going to find updates, useful information, instructions, and documents. What I will recommend you is that you bookmark this website on your phone or on your laptop so that you can check it quickly. Now we are going to go onto the main body of our presentation for today, which is all the paperwork that you are going to need to do just as soon as you get to Spain. Okay, the contents of this presentation are presented in greater detail in a document that we are going to post in the comments. You are going to have the link, and if you have any doubts about it, you can always refer to it. Nevertheless, if at the end of the presentation you have some questions, we'll try and manage a few of them, because sometimes you have normally the same topics that you need answering to. So here is the big picture. The things that you need to be aware of are the following. First, you need to know how to open a bank account, how your monthly stipend is going to be paid. You need to know about local registration. In Spanish, this is called empadronamiento. You need to understand how health insurance works. You need to know the rules about absences and leaves. And finally, you need to know about how to apply or renewing your residence permit. At the end of all these points, I will just remind you about some other matters that may be very useful to you. First things first, opening a bank account. Okay, I advise you that one of the very first things you need to do in Spain is to open a bank account. This is so because your monthly stipend will be paid directly into that account. And the paperwork that you are going to need is your placement letter from the ministry, your passport, and your NIE. This is your foreigner identification number. Sometimes the bank, if you don't have your NIE, will open a temporary bank account, and in a few weeks they will give you a permanent one. In any case, when you have the temporary bank account or the permanent bank account, you are going to need to inform the ministry, because we based your monthly stipend into that bank account. Okay, so it needs to be linked in our database. What do you need to do? You need to upload it in Profex, in the platform Profex 2. And now there is a window for you to upload these details from the 1st to the 10th of October. You are going to be sent some instructions of the steps that you need to take in order to update your NIE and your account number. At the top of this page, we have included a little picture of what a Spanish bank account looks like. So you have first two letters, ES, this is called like the IBAN number, and then is followed by 22 digits. The last step that you need to do is make sure that when you get to the school, your principal, your head of studies, fills out a form that is called a hoja de registro that shows that you have gone physically to the school. With that form, the ministry updates that date, and you also get paid your monthly stipend depending on your date of arrival. So I advise you to make sure that your head of studies, of your principal, updates this paperwork. Other useful information about your stipend basically is that your October stipend will be paid in November. Usually it will be paid in the first 2 weeks. But you need also to make sure that due to the internal procedures, this date may vary. We are going to make our best efforts for you to get paid in the first 2 weeks of November. But please be aware that delays may happen. Now we are going to move about your local registration. Basically, when you get to your with the city or the town that you have been appointed to, and you have your permanent address, you may go to the city hall and fill out this document. Information on the steps that you need to take and the documentation that you need to show, they are shown in the website of the city hall of the destination town. If you still don't have a definite address, you can still register at the city hall. And this certificado de empadronamiento may be required by the local immigration office when applying for your NIE or your TIE. Basically, now we are going to move into another very important part of the presentation, which is health insurance. As I've put up here at the top of the slide, all language assistants have the right to health care. British language assistants must request a Global Health Insurance Card, GHIC, before coming to Spain. All the European language assistants, they must request an European health insurance card before coming to Spain. The ministry will provide a private health care insurance, a health insurance policy with the company Assisa for all language assistants without access to the European health insurance card in their home countries, or for European language assistants after the first 3 months in Spain. But what does this mean for you in practice? In practice, you can only go to private hospitals and healthcare centers with a private health insurance card. If you are the holder of a public health insurance card, you can go to public hospitals and health centers. You may also be asked to present a document proving your identity. This can be your identity card or your passport. It's important to remember that if you were to have any special medical condition, we strongly advise you to bring your own medical insurance. This is so because chronic illnesses are not covered by the standard cover that we are going to provide you. At the same time, the medication costs are not included in the health insurance offered. It's for this reason that you can save the receipts for your medicines and the doctor's notes in case you can claim this cost on an insurance policy in your country of origin. ¿Se me está viendo? Okay, now we have to talk about the absences due to illnesses. It's necessary to follow the procedure indicated by the school and present a valid medical proof. In the case that you are off sick for a long time, you will still continue to receive your monthly stipend as long as you remain in Spain and you are able to resume your duties within 1 month. What happens if the illness goes on for more than 1 month? And if you need to return to your country of origin because of it, in this case, the ministry will consider temporarily or permanently cancelling the assistance participation in the program. But we haven't had any cases so far in which this has taken place. What other absences you may have? You may have leaves of absence in case that you need to be out for 1 day or 2 days. In this case, you always need to justify your absences in the same way as you need to justify your absences if you are off sick and you go to the doctor, okay? In both cases, you need to provide written proof of your absence. What happens in the school? The school, your mentor teacher, your head of studies, or your principals, they will assign you a schedule, and if you continue to have absences that are unjustified, or if you arrive late on a regular basis to the school, in this case, the school has to report it to the ministry. What we advise you to do is that if you have any unforeseen reasons, but they are justified and you need to be out of the school for a maximum of 1 week, you need to ask your school's principal, the head of studies, for permission and agree on a plan to make up for the missing classes. Now we are going to move on to another important part, and that is the residence permit. Once you get in Spain, you need to register and be legally living in Spain. This process may vary depending if you are a citizen from the European Union or you are not. Also, there will be changes depending on the immigration office or the police station that are near to the place that you have been assigned. Okay, first let's talk about European Union language assistance. The first step that you need to take is to apply for an European Union registration certificate at the immigration office or police station in your assigned city or town within 1 month of your arrival. This is very important. The deadline is 1 month. You can request an appointment before arriving to Spain. Having a Spanish telephone number is easier in order to get that appointment, but you can also use a foreign number, in which case you will need to include your country code and the plus sign in front of your number. What do you need to do to get this appointment? You will need to pay the corresponding fee and provide the following documents. Application form EX18. We have put all the links to each of the forms so you can access them quickly. You need to have a valid identity document. If it is expired, a copy of it and the renewal application will have to be provided. Then the original document must be presented when you submit the application. They will also ask you for an original and a photocopy of your placement letter and a proof of payment of the corresponding fee. Okay, once the application is submitted and the fee has been paid, you will be your registration certificate, will be issued. This is an example, and it will include your name, your nationality, your address, your date of registration, and a non-national identification number. This is your NIE. Now we are going to move on to the language assistance from outside the European Union. On your visa, you should have your NIE. This is your ID number. And if you don't have one, don't worry, because you will be assigned one at the time that you apply for your TIE. Okay, where do you need to apply for your TIE? At the Oficina de Extranjería, Immigration Office, or Police Station. In this link, you also have the list of all the Oficinas de Extranjería. Now, the TIE is important because this is the document that proves that you have obtained a residence permit or an authorization to stay in Spain for more than 6 months. To apply for it, you need to pay the corresponding fee and provide the following documents: application form EX17 in duplicate, duly completed and signed, an original and a photocopy of your passport or travel documents and a visa, 3 recent passport size photographs, original and photocopy of the placement letter, proof of payment of the corresponding fee. And for more information about the official forms and required documents to apply for it, you can also refer to this document in here. Okay, in the case that you are going to renew as a language assistant, it's necessary to apply for the renewal of your TIE. This process is called an extension of authorization. You must request it, and once it has been approved, you can submit the application documents for the renewal of your TIE. Again, there is one condition, is that you will only have 1 month to submit the required documents starting from the date that you have received the approval notification. According to the immigration law, from May 2025, language assistants will only be able to renew their visa authorization once for 1 year. This is important because this is a new change. How to apply for it? You need, with the other forms, as well as with the other forms, you need to provide the following documents, and you need to pay the corresponding fee. What are the documents? The original and photocopy of your passport, 3 recent color photographs, original and photocopy of the placement letter, proof of payment of the corresponding fee, and the official form EX17 in duplicate, fully completed and signed. Okay, to apply for an extension of authorization, if you have entered Spain with a visa that is valid just up to 6 months, and if you didn't get your TIE, you will need to fill another official form, and this is called the form EX00. Also, while you are waiting for the renewal of your TIE, maybe you want to travel abroad of Spain. You can do so, but you cannot travel within the Schengen area, okay? And in order to return to your home country and then to come back to Spain, you need to use the official form EX13. I know this is a lot of information, but see, this is all in this PowerPoint presentation, and also in the links that you can find in the comments of the chat. Okay, there are other important matters that I would like to bring to your attention. It is strongly recommended that you register at your country's embassy, in case something happens. It's important that the embassy knows that you are here and they know how to contact you. We have put a document where you can find all the embassy addresses in Spain, okay? You only need to double click on this icon that I cannot show it now, but when you click on it, it will pop up all the addresses. Also, we recommend that while you are in Spain, you can study Spanish at the Escuela Auxiliares de Idiomas. They are the official language schools in Spain. They offer lessons with very affordable prices, and they are very good lessons. So we recommend you to attend them. You have in here the places where you can go and the location of some of them. Finally, you can check all the updates and all the information that we load on social media. You can follow us on Instagram or Telegram. And if you have any further queries and if you are not sure about one of the procedures, please contact us at this address in the auxiliares.conf@education.gov.es, and we will answer your doubts and your queries as soon as possible. With this said, I like to welcome you to Spain, and I hope that you learn a lot of things. I hope that you are a good point to share your cultural background with our students, and I really wish you the very best of luck.
Okay, great, Feli. Thank you so much. I know there might be some questions. Could you just mute your mic since we're in the same room? Thank you. I know there might be some questions, and that's fine. We'll take them, but try not to make them very specific to your case. If there's something very personal, it's better that you write to us, right? And anything that has to do with the TIE and the residency card, we really recommend asking the Oficina de Extranjería. A new law came into effect this year on May 20th, and they're still doing some changes and modifications to that. So it's really important, since they're the ones that have that's the office that handles your residency card. It's really important that you ask them. Okay, Ethan, I think you have a question. Let's see if we can answer it. Go ahead. You can unmute yourself and ask the question. Yeah, I opened it up for you. Yeah, you have to unmute yourself. If not, there you go. There you go.
Just registered on my screen that it allowed me to unmute. Okay, well then my question might be for Auxiliares de Conversación as well, because it's concerning the prórroga.
Right.
Generally, not making it specific about me, if you have not received your prórroga todavía, must you wait before you can go to your school and teach and get paid?
No, you can start, right? I think that's correct, Feli, right?
I will have to double check. I'm going to put my camera on because I don't.
Oh, and the microphone, sorry. Yeah, and I'll mute.
Yeah. Okay, can you hear me now?
Yep.
Yeah, okay. Can you repeat your question, please?
I'm still waiting for my prórroga to be accepted. I have it turned in from the 3rd of June, but there was a bit of a problem with it and yada yada. So I'm still waiting for it to be accepted. And I was told by the coordinator at my school that she was informed that until I was given the prórroga, I could not get paid for my time at the school.
I believe that is the case too, but I will double check for you.
Thank you.
If you can write your email address in the chat, if you don't mind, we will take a note of it, because I also believe that you need to have your renewal visa already in place in order to start your school year again.
So, sorry, one last question very quickly.
Yeah.
If I'm still waiting, there's no way to go and teach, and once the visa is paid, she could send in the what is it? El registro that I'm at the school on the 1st, and then I can get paid for the month even if I don't have my prórroga still, or I should just wait.
My opinion is that you should wait, but as I have said, I'm going to double check
Thank you.
And we have your address in there, your email address, so we will get back to you.
Muchísimas gracias.
Yes?
Yeah, Ethan, we're a little worried. Can you mute your microphone? We're a little worried about giving information that might not be correct because there were changes made to the law. So that's why we really insist that you contact your Oficina de Extranjería. Somebody asked in the chat the contact for the Oficinas de Extranjería. Each province has their own contact. So you need to look that up on the internet and find out the contact information for the office in your area. Okay? And all these questions, it's better for them to give you the answer to these questions, okay? All right, anything else that doesn't have to do with the DA? No? Okay. Okay then. All right, so thank you, Feli. Okay, so we're done with that. All right, so now I'm going to talk to you about your tasks as a language assistant in the classroom, okay? So give me a second here to whip out the presentation. Okay? Can everybody see that? I hope I'm sharing. Okay, so remember, information for the ministry cohort. All right, so at your school, you will be a member of the Department of World Languages or of the bilingual program. All right, so all this information that I'm going to share with you today, it really is all it's going to be specific to the school where you're at, not the information. I'm going to do a very general information, but then at your school, each school works differently. And so they'll give you more concrete information. So if you're a member of the Department of World Languages, then this is you're going to be helping to teach English, right? But directly, right? As you would a world language. But there are schools, and there might be a school where you're placed at, that have bilingual programs. And what they do is teach English, but through the teaching of a different school subject in English. Okay, this is a methodology that has been proven to be very efficient. So many schools have these bilingual programs, all right? And so, for example, you would be teaching in English, but maybe through science or through social studies or something like that. Don't worry, your teacher's always going to be there to help you with that, okay? Your schedule will normally be 14 hours per week, and for Madrid placements, they will be 16 hours per week. All schools will assign you a mentor teacher, all right? That's your go-to person. That's the person who's going to help you and that you need to ask any questions. You can ask them questions, obviously, about the school, about teaching, and then also maybe some personal questions about settling into Spain. There are many schools who even help language assistants find apartments or rooms or things like that. So this is a very important contact for you. And as I said before, all this information may vary according to the schools and your school types. It's going to be different if you're placed in an elementary or in a high school. Remember that in Spain, we don't have junior high schools. We have elementary and high school, which here is called primary and secondary. Okay, where exactly will you be? Well, you'll be in the English language classroom, or you'll be teaching other school subjects if you're involved in a bilingual program. You'll be with a teacher in the classroom, and you have to help them out upon the request. The teacher will guide you and will tell you what they need from you. A teacher always has to be in the classroom with you. I really want to stress this, and I will stress it various times during the presentation. There always has to be a teacher in the classroom with you. You should not be alone with the students. There could be an exception, which we call breakouts, right? And this is, for example, the teacher can split the class in half, and one group will go with the teacher and another one with you. This is to be able to practice your speaking and the listening, and just with smaller groups, this will be more efficient. And this is fine. But what we're talking about is not being left with an entire classroom of students without the teacher there on a continuous basis, okay? What exactly will you be doing? The most important part is that you'll be helping to reinforce listening, speaking, and communicative skills. You'll be practicing vocabulary and grammar in English. All right. You are role models. You are linguistic role models for the students. They're going to hear you. You're native speakers of English. They're going to hear you. And that's going to be very, very helpful in learning their listening and speaking and communicative skills. All right. The teachers will probably ask you to prepare presentations on cultural aspects, right? Because you're a language and culture assistant. So what does this mean? I always give the example of Thanksgiving. Thanksgiving is a holiday that's only celebrated in the United States and Canada, but the kids see it all the time in movies, in TV shows. So probably when November rolls around, your teacher will ask you to present, to do a presentation on Thanksgiving. And then you'll be able to explain everything involved with that Thanksgiving, especially the food. They're always very interested in that. All right. You'll also have to prepare your classes, always according to your teacher's instructions. And you might be participating in extracurricular activities, in cultural activities, sports and theater activities, field trips, or school exchanges. As I've mentioned before, it's really all going to depend on your school. All right. So those are the things that you should be doing. And it's also important that we take a look at the things you should not be asked to do. All right, this is important. As I mentioned, you should not be asked to be fully responsible for an entire class. Breakouts, as we mentioned, was okay, but not for an entire class. You should not be asked to prepare or correct exams. You should not be asked to grade students. All right, you should not be asked to supervise recess. Recess is a really big deal here in Spain, but you should not be asked to supervise those recess periods. As well as you should not be asked to have meetings with parents or develop curriculum and syllabus content. All right, in your presentations and in your teaching in class, you're going to need teaching materials, right? Usually the teacher will provide you with teaching materials, probably the textbook that they're using, or they may ask you to prepare your own materials according to their instructions. All right, where can you find these materials? Well, you can look for resources in the World Language Department or school library. Schools usually have a lot of resources that you can use. Definitely online resources. That's going to be a big go-to, right, to find everything there. And also, you might have with you authentic materials like comics and newspapers, different types of brochures, photo albums. Students really love that you share photos with them, right? They love finding out about your life and that you share your culture and things that you do in your country. So your own photos, that's something that's really important. Children's books and maybe maps, okay? In the classroom, when you're in the classroom, we know that many of you don't have prior teaching experience. So here are a few tips, right? Make sure that you are firm and consistent in your tasks and with the school community rules, all right? This is helpful for the students to know what to expect from you. It would be nice to create a classroom routine. For example, the moment that you're teaching, well, you might want to start off with talking about the weather or today's date or what day of the week it is. This, again, your teacher can help you with this. And as you start and as you go on, it's important that you try to identify the different student needs in the classrooms. There's going to be different language levels. There's going to be different interests and abilities. And it's important that you keep out an eye for this, right? At the beginning, it might be a little bit more challenging, but as you move through, you'll pick up on this very easily. Okay, you should strive to address and give new points of view on cultural differences. Remember, there's an emphasis on sharing your culture and showing the students how that differs from the culture in Spain, right? The comparison of the cultures. You should try to earn your students' respect. If it is allowed by your school, it would be great if you were able to observe classes for a week. That's always very helpful for you, especially at the beginning. They'll let you know about this. Okay, what makes a good language assistant? First up, no Spanish, please. Now, we know that some of you speak Spanish, and we think that's wonderful for your personal life, for at the school, for example, for talking to teachers or maybe the principal, but not the students. You are in this program, you are here in Spain because you are a native speaker and an authentic model of pronunciation, intonation, the use of grammar and vocabulary. If they know that you speak Spanish because they've asked you a question in Spanish and you've answered them, it's going to be really hard for them to communicate with you in English. If they see you know Spanish, they're very tricky about this, right? They're going to want to speak in Spanish to you. So please, always, always speak in English to the students, okay? As we've spoken, you're going to provide students with firsthand cultural information about your country, and keep in mind that you can have a great impact on the motivation of students to learn languages and about other cultures, okay? You should be proactive, open, receptive, and flexible. They need to see that you're involved and interested. Always be on time and responsible, be open and have a willingness to learn about Spain and about your assigned region and the area where your school is. Learn about the teachers, the students, and the entire school community, and try your very, very best to build relationships with them. That's super important. Know that you will be welcomed and appreciated by the students, the teachers, and the families. Usually, language assistants are the rock stars at the school. Students are very interested in hearing from you, in learning about your culture and learning about your life. Everyone will be excited to meet you. Okay, and as for you, talking about personal and career goals, we hope that your stay through the program and your stay in Spain will help you improve your Spanish, even though not in the classroom, as we discussed before. We hope that you're going to be immersing yourself in a new culture, and we hope you get a lot from that. You're going to identify and learn from and enjoy the cultural differences. And you're going to learn more about your own country's language and culture as you share it. It's very interesting on that. That's going to make you think a lot about your own language and culture as you're sharing that with the students. You'll see, take my word for it. All right. You're going to have to learn to adapt to a brand new environment. Here at the ministry, we all feel that you're incredibly brave for doing this program, coming to a new country, and we're super appreciative and proud of you. To learn to think outside the box, to become flexible and proactive, to develop leadership qualities, to develop good teamwork skills, and definitely personal growth. I promise you that you're going to be a different person, the person who came to Spain now, than the person who leaves Spain once you finish the program. All right. Also keep in mind that you should be flexible with the schedule that the school offers you, okay? The school is always going to try its best to give you either Mondays or Fridays off. But in case that doesn't happen, please be flexible with that because it's probably for the good of the entire school schedule, okay? Obviously, you can ask them about it. If this happens, this hardly ever happens, but in case it does, but just keep an open mind about that, okay? Talk to your mentor teacher and the school if you find yourself in an unusual situation, right? If, for example, you've been assigned to teach more hours than those specified by the program, you shouldn't be, okay? So you need to talk to someone about that. If there's a lack of clear instruction and preparation from your teacher or teachers. And also what we discussed before, being in charge of an entire class on a regular basis. This is not something that happens commonly, right? We just want to warn you about it. But if it does, if any of these situations were to arise, or if you have any questions or concerns, you should ask for help in the following order. First is your mentor teacher, right? Then, if for some reason that doesn't work out, talk to the department head or the head of studies or the principal. And if you still feel that you haven't been able to work anything out, you can reach out to the Ministry of Education of Spain, because you're the ministry, you're a part of the ministry cohort. Okay. All right. And that's it for this presentation. I don't know if you have any questions here. No, I don't see anything. I'm not seeing anything, so I guess we're okay. All right. All right. So it's time for a little break. Oh, wow. We're doing really well on time. All right. So it's 10:05. So give us about until 10:30. Everybody back here at 10:30. And we'll continue with the language assistance. Okay. Thank you, everybody. We'll be back soon. Hi, everyone. We're back. And we're going to start off with the second section. And as I mentioned before, it's usually the highlight of the orientation session. So we have current and former language assistants who are going to be talking about their experience. So first up is April. April, are you there?
Yep, I'm here. Hi,
Hi,
everybody.
April. Hi, April is from Canada, and she was a language assistant in Madrid. And then we also have Mackenzie Boatman. Mackenzie, are you there?
Yes, I am. Hello.
Hi, Mackenzie. Mackenzie's from New York City, and she was in Seville last year, right, Mackenzie?
Yes, and now I'm in
Yes.
Madrid.
And now she's in Madrid. And third, and definitely not least, we have Caroline, who's from Seattle, and she was in Almeria last year, and this year she's in Madrid. Caroline?
Hi.
Hi. Okay. All right. So how this is going to work, they're going to talk for about 5 or 10 minutes about their experience, and then we'll open it up to questions. So April, if you wouldn't mind beginning.
Of course. Hi, everybody.
you.
Like Lisa mentioned, my name is April. I am a former language assistant. I was a language assistant for the max amount of time you can be a language assistant, and I have transitioned now to working and living here in Spain. I came here in 2017. I started at a high school in Parla, and then I also worked at another high school, but a bilingual high school closer to the center of Madrid. But my whole experience as a language assistant has been in Madrid and with secondary students. So that's a little bit about my experience. If you want to know a little bit about my experience first arriving to Spain, again, this was back in 2017, so that's 8 years ago now. But I know a lot of you guys are going to be nervous for coming to Spain, contacting your school, and I just wanted to let you guys know that everything is going to sort itself out and not to worry, because my first school, they didn't even think I was coming. So I kind of emailed them, no response. So I showed up at the school and they were like, "Yay, she's here." So don't worry about that. In terms of reaching out to your school, I just showed up and everything worked out great. All of the teachers were very supportive, especially in my first school. My second school, after having some experience in the first school, it was a lot easier. And yeah, I made a lot of friends. I'm still friends with some of the coordinators both of the coordinators of the schools that I worked at. One is my neighbor, and the other one we text frequently. But yeah, so that's a little bit about me. And if you guys have any questions specifically about moving to Spain, working going to a high school, if you're assigned to a high school, you can save those questions for later.
Hey, April, I was just like in general, what was it like working like at a secondary school, right? Because the
Oh,
ages there are a little different.
so in Spanish secondary schools, you have ESO and Bachillerato. ESO is like grade 7 to grade 10, and Bachillerato would be like grade 11 and 12. So ESO, they're like first ESO, second ESO, they're still young, so it's really nice. They're kind of rowdy. And Bachillerato, they're the older ones. They're preparing for university. So I found that in my experience, most people, or most of the students in Bachillerato, they were quite eager to learn and quite like, motivated to speak to a native speaker. The younger kids are, even though they're in high school, they're still like grade 7 and 8. So they were more interested in playing. So when we did our classes, it would be more focused around games, whereas in Bachillerato, when I did classes in Bachillerato, it was more about debating, trying to really get the older students to speak as they are older. Of course, depending on the school, depending on the level, you can speak about more complex topics. And I found that very fun. I found it very interesting because as they're going to university, we can do more. I don't want to say the younger kids' classes aren't interesting. I think the younger kids' classes are more fun, but we can talk about more deeper topics with the older students. I also wanted to add my first school was non-bilingual and my second school was bilingual. So there, in itself, the level of English is different because in the non-bilingual school versus the bilingual students, obviously they take classes not only English and English, they have like sciences, maths, physical education in English, so they're more exposed to speaking English on a day-to-day basis. Um, and however, I would still say, depending on the school, in my school, for example, the level even within the bilingual school varied because not all classes are bilingual classes, if that makes sense. Some of the students will be in the bilingual like section of the school, and some will be in the regular one, and they don't have bilingual classes. But in general, I really enjoyed teaching the oldest students and the youngest students. In the middle, they're great. They're fine, but maybe a bit more rowdy than than I expected coming from
Okay.
Canada.
Maybe a little bit more patience there is needed. And just one last question, April. What was your first day like? So everybody here today, their first day is going to be tomorrow. They're probably nervous and thinking about that. How would you like what did you feel like when you walked into the school the first day?
Okay, so I think I had a very unconventional first day because they didn't even know I was coming. I think they didn't think that they were sending a language assistant because of visa situation. I was a bit late. So my first day, I remember I was very excited. I took the train. I went all the way to Parla, which is an hour south of Madrid. And then I got there. I didn't really speak very good Spanish. And I went to the like conserje, like the front desk person. And I told them like, oh, I'm the English teacher. Thankfully, at that exact moment, the English coordinator of the department was walking down the stairs and she found me and she was like, oh my gosh, we didn't even know you were coming. My first day was essentially them being surprised that I was there. They gave me a couple papers to fill out, a little about the school, about the area, about the students or like the socioeconomic status of the students in Parla, and they said, "Well, since we didn't know you were coming, you can go home." And then I went home after 2 hours.
Okay, well, that's good. That's a great first day, it seems
Yeah, it was a
like to
great
me.
first day.
Yeah.
I just went, I signed some papers, and I went home. And eventually, like, she reached out to me again and she gave me a proper schedule. But I think they were a bit shocked. So don't worry, it's gonna be, I felt like at first I was really excited. I had a lot of anticipation, and then I just felt like it was a very like chill. I was like, oh, this is such a Spanish thing. Like, okay, come. We forgot you were coming. Sign your papers, go home. And I was like,
Okay,
great.
wonderful, wonderful. Okay, thank you, April. Mackenzie, why don't you tell us a little bit about your experience, please?
Yes, of
Thank you,
course.
April.
Okay, hi everyone. As was mentioned, my name is Mackenzie and I am originally from New York. But last year I taught in Seville. And so I taught in a small town outside of Seville. I had a 45-minute commute, which pales in comparison to most people. And it was really great. I came to Spain more as an escape rather than really being interested in being a teacher and wanting to do the program specifically. However, it has now changed the course of my life and my plan moving forward. It is a super, super fun job, and you get out of it what you put into it. And so you can make it whatever you want to be. But I last year decided that I was going to give it my all and do what I really do, all that I could do. And I think both the kids and the school saw that and appreciated it. And so I had the greatest relationship with my school, really great relationship with every kid in the school. And then also just a good time in general because I was really using my time.
That's fantastic. Can you tell us a little bit about the commute? That might be interesting for some
Yes.
people.
And so everyone's commute is going to be different. And for me, I had to just take one bus. So I can't even really complain because it wasn't that bad. But you will learn if your commute's 30 minutes, if your commute's an hour, if your commute's an hour and a half, it will all become very normal. And if you make use of your commute, it's really not that bad. I read a lot of books, I journaled a lot, and it was a great use of my time. But I had friends who had commutes who were an hour or an hour and a half, and they would call their parents. They would use the time to connect with people back at home. And so there's really, the commutes can be hard, but once you get used to it, once you figure it out, they're usually not that bad.
Right. Yeah, obviously you have to do something with that time while you're
Yes,
commuting.
exactly.
Yeah,
I would not
definitely.
suggest just sitting there.
Yeah.
But
And Mackenzie, you mentioned that you were in a small town. What was that like?
it was so nice. And so this year I'm teaching in the city, and I'm kind of sad because I think being a small community is nice because everyone knows each other, and they've all been in school together their whole lives, which can seem a little intimidating. But you have, 3 sets of siblings in one class, or you have your teacher's nephew is in your class or something like that, and that it makes it feel much more like one big family rather than a school. And in the South, in Andalusia, they have feria or fair. And so every town in Andalusia has their own fair. And so I went to my town's feria, and it was like a one big school reunion because everyone from town goes. And so it's really, really nice to be in a small town because everyone knows each other, but also there's that sense of like connection and support that if I was having a bad day inside or outside of the school, there was going to be someone that was going to help me through it.
That's so wonderful to hear you say that because so many people are focused, they want to go to big cities and stuff like that.
Yes.
And it's and then we've heard back from so many people who have been placed in small towns and they absolutely love it. They've
Yes,
had such a good experience.
I was very nervous about being in a small town, never having lived in Spain, not knowing what the energy or what their vibe was going to be. And then I went and it was perfect. And now I'm kind of sad to not be in a small town, but I'm sure it's great in the city too.
Yeah, you'll find positive things of this experience
Yes, of
also.
course.
And Mackenzie, can you tell us also like about your first day? Like how did you feel your first day, or do you have any like suggestions to make people feel a little bit more comfortable?
Yes, totally. Similar to April, I was very nervous. And then I went there for an hour and they were like, okay, go home. You can start tomorrow.
Oh,
and so
seems to be a trend.
Yes.
Yeah,
And so
that doesn't mean that it's going to
are,
happen to everybody. Let me just
no,
say
of course
that.
not.
Yeah.
I had friends who stayed the whole time as well.
Yeah.
But usually, I mean, there are things you have to do. They have to walk you through the school. They have to explain, this is the bathroom. This is, this is where these classes are. This is where you have to go to print. So there's a lot of like orientation stuff that has to happen on the first day, that would take away from your traditional class time. And so that pressure and that nervousness of, oh my God, this starts tomorrow, it does start tomorrow, but there's a lot of stuff that has to happen before it actually starts. And so, like April said, you will sign paperwork, you will be walked around the school, you'll be introduced to people, and then maybe you will go to class. And usually the first week, the first days of class are all just getting to introduce yourself and getting to know the kids. And so what I will say, what my one suggestion is, when you first go in to talk to the kids, I did a presentation about myself, where I'm from, what I like to do, whatever. My biggest
that's very
suggestion is
typical, right? Usually the
yes,
teachers
exactly.
will ask you to prepare a presentation about yourself, right? That's where
Yes,
the pictures come really in handy and stuff like that. Yeah.
exactly. And like, but most teachers will not automatically give kids the time to answer back. And so I think it's really important to also ask them their names, ask them where they're from, come up with a game to get to know them as well and start that relationship building early. Because if you're going into class the next time and you know no one's name, it makes it seem like you don't, like you didn't
Right,
really care to
exactly.
learn.
That's
So
really good
learning kids'
advice.
names is
Yeah.
really important. And so if you have to get a ball and throw around and throw it around and get to people to say their names, whatever it is, introduce yourself, but also start getting to know them as early as possible.
That's great advice. Thank you, Mackenzie. And last question, were you involved in the bilingual program, or was it world languages?
So I was in the bilingual program. So I had English class with every grade of secondary, but also 2 subject classes with each grade. So for example, the first year of secondary, they had biology and math in English. Second year had 2 other classes and 2 other classes and 2 other classes. And so I was teaching gym, but I was also teaching English and biology and chemistry. And so it ranged.
Right, right. I explained that before in the presentation, that it's a methodology that's very common in Spain to use, and it's really proved its effectiveness, right? And they
Yes.
learn English as they're being taught a different school subject.
Yeah, and it makes things a little more interesting because you get to renew the things you learned back in high school, but also, teach different things. It's not like you're just sitting there teaching grammar. So it's
Right.
fun.
Okay, great. Thank you so much, Mackenzie.
Of course.
Okay, and Caroline, why don't you share with us your experience?
Hello, yeah.
Hi.
So, my name is Caroline. I'm also originally from Seattle, but I was in Almeria last year in Andalusia. I had a great experience, obviously because I'm back for another year, but in Madrid this time. People so far have been talking about like the city versus like the more rural life, and I would just say that like I had my year in Andalusia and it was amazing, and now I'm having a year in Madrid because I sort of feel like it's the other half of what I'm looking for. So like whatever your situation is this year, there will be like good and fun things about it. But yeah, I lived in the city of Almeria and my school was about an hour away in like a smaller town. And so I also had a bit of a commute. But I was really lucky in that they were both like coastal towns. So I would just sit on like the same side of the bus every day and like watch the sunrise over the Mediterranean. That was awesome. I saw
Oh, that's
dolphins from
lovely.
my bus a couple times, and I like embarrassed myself because I like tapped the person next to me and I was like, look, dolphins, and they were like, leave me alone. Like they weren't
That
as
sounds
excited
like a
about it.
really nice
I
commute,
was
like really, really nice. Yeah.
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 So I would always try to like listen to music or an audiobook and like stare out at the water. And that was a really like nice way to start my day. Um, and I also like I loved my little routine of like my bus came every 30 or 45 minutes, and so I was always scared like that I was gonna miss my bus and be late to school. And so I found a cafe that I really liked, like right by my school, and I would always get there like an hour or an hour and a half early, and I would like sit and read my book and like chat with the people at the cafe for like an hour and a half, like every day before school. And that was a really nice way to start the day, like
Wow, that's
especially if
awesome.
you're
Yeah,
stressed
and in
about, yeah.
Spanish, right? I'm
Yeah,
thinking,
yeah,
that's
yeah,
amazing. Yeah, because
yeah,
that way you were able to practice your Spanish, but not in the
yeah,
classroom. I want
yeah,
to
yeah.
emphasize, right? Right,
Exactly.
right.
Yeah, and so I was at a primaria, so like an elementary school, and it was a bilingual school. So I was actually in their science classes. And so I ended up being placed with like the younger half, so first, second, and third grade, which I was really nervous about because I'd like worked with kids before, but never kids that young. And so I didn't really know like I don't know what to do with them or anything. So yeah, I was nervous about that. But my first day was really like straightforward. I came to school and there was another Aux that was also at my school. So our coordinator just showed us both around. We signed some paperwork, like other people were talking about, and yeah, she took us around to each of the classes that we were going to be in and like introduced us, which was really sweet because we got to sort of like see all of the kids. And yeah, that was fun. And then she like explained her schedule to us and sort of gave one of us the younger half and one of us the older half. And then I think we made Halloween decorations the rest of the day. Like we like stayed in the like lounge and we're cutting out like maple leaves and started taping them on the walls. So yeah, it was a funny first day, but I remember I was like, oh my God, this is my first like real job. So I was wearing like a button-down shirt and like fancy pants, and my coordinator was in like a denim like little mini dress, and like all the teachers were in like jean shorts and like tank top. I was like, oh my God, this is embarrassing. So it's like, I don't know, it's not as serious as it might feel like. But yeah, then like other people were saying,
A lot of people find that interesting. The dress code is different, right?
yeah,
A lot of
yeah.
people ask those questions. How did you like what did you wear to school?
Yeah, so I had like come to Spain with like nicer clothes because I was like, oh, like I want to be like professional. I don't know, but it's like an elementary school, and so it's not actually that professional at all. And so like at the beginning, yeah, I was wearing like little button-down shirts and stuff, and then like I think in the winter I was just wearing like a sweatshirt and jeans every day, and then in the spring, like I don't know, like t-shirts and shorts.
Yeah.
And that
A lot
was
of
like
people
totally
are
normal.
a lot of people are shocked to hear that you could actually wear jeans to school. But here it's not an issue at all.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
yeah, maybe not the first day or the first week, but until you see everybody else. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Um, yeah. And
What
then,
can go oh, go ahead, go ahead. Sorry.
oh, I was just gonna say, yeah, in the first days in each of my classes, yeah, I gave a presentation about myself. But I was sort of like overwhelmed by how little English they knew. Like I was trying to go slowly, but I remember in one of my first grade classes, like the teacher stopped me on the slide about my family and like pointed to my dad, who I was just being like, this is my dad, like really slowly, and was like, okay, who is this to the class? And like one of the kids was like apple, and then all the other kids were like apple, it's apple. I was like, what am I doing here? Like, how am I going to teach these kids English? But I don't know, they're like absorbing so much every day, and so it was so surprising like how in the first week like they couldn't even write in English, like or in Spanish, let alone in English. And by the end, like we were having little conversations and stuff. So even if it's like a really low starting point, like seeing that growth will be really rewarding. And also like when you only speak to them in English, you're sort of like dangling the carrot of your friendship and like getting to know you to try to like pull the English out of them. So even if you can speak in Spanish, yeah, like try to keep that on the down low, because you want them to like get out of their comfort zone to want to like get to know you.
Exactly, exactly. And Caroline, can you tell us a little bit about your first day, how you felt that day that you walked into the door of the school?
Yeah, like I said, I was like I was dressed like nicer, and then that was sort of like oh, I feel silly right now. But the other like ox that I was there with was also dressed sort of nice, and then yeah, I was like nervous. I would say like I had okay Spanish, but I would just like maybe tonight like practice like introducing yourself or something because you're gonna have to do it like so many times tomorrow. And even if to the teachers, like you can speak a little bit of Spanish, it's sort of nice to extend that offer. Like, I was sort of surprised that it was like a bilingual school, but some of the teachers that like I was in the classes that were supposed to be in English with, like, definitely weren't fluent in English. So to be able to like talk to them in Spanish about like, okay, what do you want me to do, or things like that, it would be is like a nice, I don't know, like offering. But obviously, like, hopefully they would speak enough English to be able to, yeah, tell you what you want to be doing. But
Yeah, for sure.
yeah, and then we made Halloween decorations. So it was funny, but it was a good first day. Yeah.
Oh, that's wonderful. I'm sure that's going to make everybody feel a lot more comfortable and better. You didn't get sent home the first day.
No,
No,
I
okay.
stayed for a while. Yeah, she showed us around and she
Yeah.
put us to work on the decorations.
Yeah,
So
I would think that's the norm. Yeah, for
yeah.
sure. Okay. Well, thank you so much, you guys, for doing this. Does anybody have any questions for them? We can open up the mics um, in case anyone has any questions for them. Oh, you should take advantage that they're here and they're full of information and wisdom.
Hi. I was just going to ask, my teachers, asked me to prepare like a slide about where I'm from. Was there anything that you found like students were super interested in learning about from you, like right from the beginning?
Yeah, I can, Taylor, sorry, I don't know if you're in primary or secondary, so I can give you what my students in secondary liked. They loved knowing what it's like to be in like a American Canadian high school. They loved when I would show them, like, I did a little tour of I went on Google Maps and I showed them a tour of my school, showed them lockers. I told them what my school was like, what our schedules and our classes were like. And in high school, they really liked that. But yes, I don't know if any of the other Auxes have something to add since they were in primary.
Yeah, I can add. I was in secondary as well, though. But one thing that was really fun to figure out is that these kids are also using social media and TikTok if you are in secondary. And so every single class I went to, they asked me if I had ever had crumble cookie. And I did not expect that at all because I didn't think that crumble cookies was like a internationally known thing, but it is internationally known on TikTok. And so they also, if you have older kids, they're also really interested in knowing things like about day-to-day life that they see on social media. And so crumble cookies, when I went home for Christmas, can I have crumble cookies? Like things that they had seen, they wanted to know about as well. So
Yeah, and I'll add on to that, even in elementary school, like, I told them that I had gone to college in Ohio and they thought that was hysterical. Like, because like Ohio is like a joke. But also, like, especially the like younger kids, like the first graders and stuff. Well, honestly, all of them. I think this was like being in southern Spain too, but I I like showed them a picture of my house after it had snowed and they thought that was so crazy. Like, they were so excited to see the snow. Um, and there was something else too. Oh yeah, I like talked about some like holidays and holiday traditions. And so they loved seeing pictures of like um I showed them pictures of like my family like cutting down like a Christmas tree like from the woods and like taking it home and decorating it. Like, they thought that was cool. I think also because they don't have like trees like that in southern Spain, but yeah, so stuff like that.
Oh, I'm
they
sure
also
they
love
really enjoyed
Halloween.
that. Yeah. Sorry, Mackenzie.
No,
Yeah.
you're so fine. I was gonna say
Yeah.
they also love Halloween.
Yeah.
And so even in
Well,
high
because
school,
Halloween is so much fun. How could you not like love it?
yes.
It's so much fun. Yeah. Yeah, for sure. So some people are also asking about the schedules. What were they like? April, can you share that with them?
Yeah, so I believe the schedules for secondary and primary are a little bit different, but from my experience in secondary, we finished around 2:30 every day. Um, and it depended like on my schedule. So most of the times I had either Fridays or Mondays off. Um, and I would either do like if I had all of my classes in a row, it would be like 10 to 2. Sometimes I would have gaps in the middle, but it would be around, because I believe it's 16 hours. We would have 16 class hours, and maybe if you're not in 16 classes, some of the extra hours, they gave it to us for prep, so we can prepare our lessons. And sorry. In my second school, which was a bilingual school, we had we had 5 language assistants. So actually some of my hours were conversation classes with other teachers in the school that were interested. So I think one of my last 2 years, I did about maybe 14 class hours, and 2 with 2 teachers at the school, conversation classes. And then you'll have gaps. There's a break normally in high school, about 20, 30 minutes. Most of the time you finish at 2:30 unless you have 7th period. Some classes have 7th period, and it'll be 3:30. But I believe in primary it's different, so I will let that one of the other Auxes who are in a primary school answer that.
Yeah. What about you, Caroline? What was your schedule like?
Yeah, so my school schedule was from 9 to 2 every day. But it like worked out that my hours were usually like from 10 to 1. And I think like a couple days a week I had a gap in between of like an hour where I wasn't in a class. But yeah, I would just like walk around or like go to a cafe or yeah, sit in the teacher's lounge and do
Yeah, or
work.
prep some classes, right? At the
Yeah,
teacher's
exactly.
lounge.
But
Yeah.
yeah, the
Yeah.
primary also had recess like during the school day. And that wasn't like a part of my official hours, but the days where I like had it in me to I don't know, like have the energy, I would always try to like go out and play with them at recess, and that was a really great way to like get to know them better and connect with them better and speak like a little bit of English with them, and
Oh,
just like play games. So
I'm sure they loved that. I'm sure they
yeah.
loved that. But you weren't in charge of the recess, right? Because I
Yeah,
mentioned
yeah.
that before in the presentation.
Yeah,
Okay,
no,
great.
just
Thank
stand
you.
and play.
Mackenzie, what was your schedule like?
So I had a very flexible school, and before even starting, they asked me what subjects I was interested in. I was in a bilingual program, and so that meant that I could, like I said, teach history or math or whatever. And so they asked me, and I said the only thing I really don't want to teach is chemistry. And so they didn't put me in any chemistry classes. But beyond that, they asked, am I a morning person and am I an afternoon person? And I think this is rare. I don't think usually you get that much flexibility. But there were days when I would go to school at 10 and I would leave by 11 o'clock. There were days that I was at school from 8:30 to 2:30, and it just depended on the schedule. I had a 4-week cycle. So my first week was all English classes with the youngest kids. The next week was all English classes with the oldest kids. The next week was the subject classes, and then the subject classes again. And so every school does it differently, I think, is the conclusion from all of our experiences. But generally, I feel like if you are super interested in teaching a certain class, you should reach out and tell them that. And you should talk to them tomorrow and say, oh, I love history. I love chemistry. I'd love to teach chemistry. And so my schedule varied, but like I said, there were days that I was there all day, or also days that I was there for an hour, which is really nice because that meant that I could explore Seville for the rest of the day.
Right, right, right. Okay, that's wonderful. April, there's a question here. If you found teaching the bilingual classes in secondary, if that was like difficult for you, if it was challenging?
Yeah. So I personally, they just assigned me to English and PE. So PE was very easy, and we just did the games in English. However, my the other language assistants who were in sciences and math in high school, they didn't really have too much of a problem with it because the teachers would tell them in advance which unit in the textbook they are on, and maybe they'll say this section in unit 5, can you just prepare a little activity or a little explanation, and they would be able to prepare it in advance, but you will be following the book more or less. So they told me that it wasn't so hard because they had a guide, which was the textbook, and the teacher would normally help them.
Yeah, I agree. I taught like physics, and things that I had not studied for a long time. But a lot of it is vocabulary. And so I would teach a lot of vocabulary games in those classes. Or, can you guys hear me? Yes. Oh, okay. Yeah, sorry. I would teach a lot of vocabulary or do things that were not necessarily teaching the content, but more applying English to the content that they had already learned.
Okay, thank you. I think there's another question which is I find very interesting. Wait, did I lose it here? And it says, wait. One thing you'd tell yourself in the past that you didn't know at the time. One thing that you tell yourself in the past that you didn't know at the time.
I have something I've been trying to remind myself starting the second year. Um, I feel like it's sort of like a cultural thing in America and maybe other like more Western countries, but also especially from Seattle, but like when like people that I didn't know super well would offer things that were really nice, like a teacher would be like, "Oh, like I can drive you to school, like you don't have to take the bus." Like I sort of thought that they were just like saying that to be nice and they didn't actually like mean that. But I feel like one thing that I've been learning in Spain is that they don't really like say it if they don't mean it. And so like when people are trying to make like those connections with you, like just like push yourself out of your comfort zone and go for it because I had some friends who like one of my friends lived right over a cafe and they like went to that cafe like every single weekend and basically like became a part of the family at that cafe. Like the grandma would like go to the doctors with them or like drive them to the airport. Or like once when I was with them, they like took us in the kitchen and were like teaching us how to make like Spanish foods and stuff like that. But that doesn't happen unless you like try to get to know the people around you, which I feel like they're a lot more open to like getting to know you than just like someone who works at a cafe that you go to all the time in the US. Like they don't really want to like get to know you. I feel like in the same way that people here like want to make community with you. So like I would go back and tell myself to like push myself out of my comfort zone and like try to make community with people around me.
That's such a good advice. That really, really is. April or Mackenzie, what about you guys?
I think I would tell myself similar to what Caroline said is to enjoy it more, the experience and to be more involved. I think I was involved in the school, like I joined the choir and like one of the and I made friends with the teachers. But also I think like to really like as the children are sponges absorbing your English, this I feel like it's also our opportunity. I came knowing no Spanish. I It was my opportunity to absorb from them, like during those years that I was a language assistant, my like learning of the language was so exponential because I was surrounded by all of these students who are talking every day. You learn new words. So I think I would like take advantage of that and I would like to have gone back and absorbed more of what they were saying because I don't think I would have learned or have the level of Spanish that I had now if I wasn't in this program. Just being like around these students. I'd also like to tell myself, I think in my first school, because my Spanish level wasn't so high, I wasn't able to make or I was too shy to make those connections. So I would like tell myself to do it more. Um, I do want to share an experience because Caroline reminded me of one about how Spanish people they really offer things and they mean it and they're very welcoming and kind. This isn't my story. This is my cousin's story. So my cousin was placed in a very small town outside of Alicante. It was like 1,000 people only, and he was like the celebrity of the town. And he called her the Pueblo mom, which was one of the teachers at the school. She let him bake a turkey for 5 hours in her oven so they can celebrate Thanksgiving. And one of the other teachers gave him her car. Like literally like was like, "Oh, you need a car to get around because they're in a small pueblo." And then they gave her she gave him her car. Like she put him on the insurance and that was his car for the whole year. It was amazing. And I think like these are the little things and experiences you can only experience when you go out of your comfort zone and really try to like make those connections with the people in the community, in the town, if you're in a small pueblo, and in the school. And yeah, so I think that's something that we maybe it's hard if your level of Spanish isn't that high in the first year, but really try, because I wish I tried a bit harder in my first school.
Thank you, April. What about you, Mackenzie?
I already said it a little, but I would say this experience is what you make of it. And so I had a co-ox last year, and she came with the mindset that this was really just a thing to do for a visa. I'm going to come, get my stuff done at school, and then leave. And I think that the kids understand if you don't want to be there, and the teachers
for
definitely
sure.
understand if you
Yeah.
don't want to be there.
Yeah.
And so we are really asked to do so little. So with the little that we are asked, I think it really matters that you put your best foot forward and actually put effort into doing what you are asked to do. And so if that means preparing a really fun class or a really fun game, or there are so many things to look at online, so many resources, looking online and saying, what can I do with this information? Or what can I do in this class? Like coming to class with a plan rather than just showing up and being like, well, I'm here. Makes a big difference for the kids.
100%. Yeah, you're definitely going to get out of the program what you put into it.
Absolutely.
100%.
And like
yeah.
I loved my experience. Were there times that I was tired and didn't want to go to school and whatever? Yes. But like every day you show up, the kids notice and the kids see your demeanor and how you are. And I think that their impression of you is very important in terms of how much they learn. They want you to be a friend. They want you to be the young, cool teacher. And so if you are that, and if you are nice to them, and really interact with them, they will learn a lot of English, and that's what we're here for. So
Sure, for sure. Thank you, Mackenzie. All right, and last question. Somebody asked for your favorite activity outside of school. What did you guys do?
I traveled a lot. I think that that's a very common response, but I will say my favorite thing of the entire year, and if anyone is in Andalusia, or not Andalusia, but if anyone can go to Andalusia, I think the fairs in Andalusia are the best thing ever. Like, they're so much fun. It's really cultural experience. You learn a lot. You speak a lot of Spanish. And so really like exploring and getting to know the culture of the place you are in is really interesting. And then traveling because it's
Right,
very cheap.
and that's something in Spain, like each region is so different from the other.
Yes, exactly.
So it's great to learn a lot about them. It's very, the food is different. Sometimes they have different languages. It's very, very different. So yeah, and they have fairs everywhere, Mackenzie, but I have a feeling that in Andalusia,
in Andalusia they're a little different, but also like every region has their cultural thing. And so going to those and being a part of the community that you're living in is really fun.
Yeah. See someone saying in the chat that in Lugo, in Galicia, there are fairs this week. Those are a lot of fun, by the way, Elizabeth. I've been there, so those are a lot of fun. What about you, Caroline?
Yeah, so I was right on the water, and so I went to the beach like every day in the fall and spring, and that was so amazing, and I felt so lucky to be able to do that. But a lot of my friends and we like bought snorkels and stuff and would like go to Cabo de Gata and like snorkel and look at fish, and that was awesome. But through like the rest of the year and in the winter, I joined a rock climbing gym, and that was really fun because that's sort of like it's like exercise, but also it's like more collaborative. So we would end up like talking to like people from Almeria who are like helping us like get through a certain thing, or I don't know. It's just like more a community-based like exercise that it was the first time I had really done it, but it ended up being super fun, and we got to know a lot of people through that.
Oh, that sounds like a lot of fun. How about you, April?
Well, my first years, I traveled, and I tried to make it a point to travel around Spain. So that were some of the things that I really liked. I did the typical picnics in Retiro, sunset in Templo de Devad that you do in Madrid that everybody, most people do. But I think like things outside of school that I did, I went to language exchanges to practice my Spanish, but also I wanted to like get out of my comfort zone a little bit. And I remember I joined a football league and I don't play football. I don't play football. I'm not very good at it. But I was like, I want to make friends. So I tried. It didn't really end great because
Oh, wait. Sorry, April, we cut you off. You're back on. If you can unmute yourself. Yeah.
no worries. I coughed anyway. But yeah, so I joined a football league. But I think one thing that I really, one hobby that I do still, that I started back when I was a language assistant, and I still do today, is like I first joined like the school choir. And then I got like inspired to start taking singing classes. And then I joined a bunch of different academies. And through that, I was able to sing at the, well, actually, through the school choir and one of the teachers at the school, I sang at the Prado with her, which was really cool. I feel like that's like a once in a lifetime opportunity to sing at the Prado Museum. And then with my other academies, I was able to perform in Teatro Lara. I didn't appear on TV, but I did like the backup vocals for Got Talent. Just the backup vocals. My voice was on TV, but you can't see me. I did the backup vocals for Got Talent. Now I have a new singing teacher. She's amazing. Her name is Lydia Faiden, and through her, I was able to meet Antonio Banderas. She's currently going to be in Wicked, the musical in Madrid, and I'm able to meet so many people in like the musical theater industry here in Madrid just because like that one singing teacher or that one teacher in my first school in Parla like kind of like pushed me to join the school choir, and she actually for Carnival, she made me and her dress up as Jackson and Allie from A Star is Born and sing for the whole school. And that was like kind of like the catalyst to her being like, you should take singing classes, you should do this, you should join the choir, let's perform at the Prado. And then like her name was Sylvia, so the teacher was named Sylvia. So if I hadn't met Sylvia in Parla, I wouldn't technically I wouldn't have met Antonio Banderas because that was like wild. I don't know how but yeah, that's one of my hobbies now, and I think I'm really
And I
lucky that
can,
not.
yeah, I can definitely vouch that April has a beautiful singing voice. So I'm glad that through the program she discovered to use it. Okay, so if there aren't any more questions, I think we're gonna wrap this up. I can't thank you enough, April and Mackenzie and Caroline, for joining us and sharing your experiences with us. Thank you so much, and good luck this year. Okay, you'll let us know how it's going.
Thanks so much. No
Yeah,
problem.
thank you.
All right, thank you.
Thank
All
you.
right, and
Thank you.
so cierra el micrófono, Fede. So for everybody except American citizens, we'll be ending the webinar for you guys here. And again, if there's anything you need, remember to write to the email address. They're going to be sending you information about that. Okay, so don't worry, you'll get all that onboarding information. Remember the link that we shared with you about the documents also. Okay, all right, so we're gonna, if we can, Luis, I don't know if you can hear me, if we could stop the recording.